What's new then?
Not much, mate, other than you trying to catch me out.
Didn't work at all, then, did it? Good evening, Jay, and thank you ever so much for joining me from your new girlfriend's kitchen. Not your new kitchen's girlfriend, and not your new girlfriend's new kitchen, or your girlfriend's new kitchen. It's just from a kitchen.
It is. It is
in the middle of wherever you are. So yeah, the reason tonight why some of you might have noticed was it was Luke and question mark is Jay decided that tonight he had better things to do than basically talk to me about the Norwich game last night, and went over to his new girlfriend's kitchen. And
pretty much, yeah.
And yeah, so that's why he's joining from here. He's missing out on valuable time with his new girlfriend, which we've got to be, we've got to be thankful for. And
she has fed me though. She's looked after me.
What did she feed you, Jay?
An M&S toad in the hole.
M&S toad in the hole. Is that different to a normal toad in the hole? I don't know.
It's not homemade. Like normal toad in the holes, but it's M&S.
Oh, sorry. Does it have an advert where all the gravy's dripping in it? And it's like trying to be right sexy.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. It was pretty sexy.
Yeah. It was pretty sexy. Well, hey.
You know me, mate. I love jamming sausages and batter in my mouth, though.
Just a bloody intro.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
Leeds are shit. We're recording, you know.
Oh, shit.
We had a good start. I don't think we've got the personnel.
You can fucking laugh all you want, you absolute bellend.
I think about things. That's why you lot are idiots.
A melted version of a dick that's been shrink wrapped.
The absolute elite shithousery of this.
I'll tell you what, Luke, we ain't got the personnel, have we?
We haven't got the personnel for one, and I think about things. That's why you lot are a dickhead or something. I say. That's why you lot are a bit idiot. That's it. Yeah. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Great. Get your comments coming in. We'll get the best of them up there. If not, we'll probably just get any of them because there's just Jay and I tonight, and not a great deal to talk about without the risk of overly repeating ourselves. I think we're going to come on here. We're going to talk about. I imagine we're probably going to talk about Farker. We're going to talk about how well we played, how we didn't win the game, how we could have won the game, substitutions, the end. Beep, beep, beep. But there's probably a little bit more to it than that, Jay. Let's start with the performance as a whole, I think. And I obviously went up there last night, and I was quite surprised how good the atmosphere was in comparison to this time last year when we played them away from home. The atmosphere was a bit dead last year when we went there. And was it a midweek last year as well? I can't remember. I think it was. But the atmosphere was poor last year. In fact, it might not have been. But it was Tuesday night, not much ale people. But as soon as I pulled up in the car park, there was one guy on his own walking around singing, "We'll never be mastered by you, Norwich." Absolutely steaming, just walking through centre of Norwich on his own. Nobody else with him. This is definitely salmon, by the way, Danny. It's definitely a salmon t-shirt. It's a bit pink, but we'll not get on to colours. It's definitely not a red. It's definitely not red. But I have just bought a camper van.
Red to me.
I've just bought a camper van.
What?
I've just bought a camper van today, and let me just tell you this story. Nobody cares about this, I don't suppose, but I do. And on the logbook, it says. So it's from a friend. It's a friend, and it says on the logbook, white. I've never seen this camper van. I just trust this guy. Give me a great price from what I understand. And it says white on the logbook. Perfect. Anyway, I said, send me some. I already paid for it. Send me some pictures of it over. It's orangey red. Orangey red is the best way I can describe it. It's very orangey, but there's a bit of red.
Has it been badly painted, or has it been wrapped or something?
No, he's had it. He's basically he's a bit dodgy, this lad, and he's had it resprayed completely and just never declared it. So I was like, how the fuck have you got away with that? Like with the police and like MPR and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, I didn't even ask in the end. I just I'm waiting to see it because my brother's been and picked it up tonight, and he says it's orangey red as well. So I'm none the wiser. I might share a picture from the pod Twitter a bit later and just get a poll on it because if it is red, it's going to get repainted, certainly, or lots and lots of magnets just to.
Yeah,
So yeah, pretty excited
We're
about
going
that.
to turn into a mobile podcast studio. We could like rock up outside.
Blaze Race
rock
said
with
there,
it.
mobile podcast studio.
Yeah, that's it.
Debs, you are right. It wasn't midweek last year because there was loads of people dressed up as sailors, if I remember rightly, when we went down there last year. But the atmosphere was absolutely tragic. I know we did go 2-0 down last year by half time, but we did win 3-2. So yeah, let's. Ian, if you didn't trust dodgy people, you wouldn't get very far in life, is my motto.
That's why he trusts him, Ian, because he's a bit dodgy too. So it's
Yeah.
No,
anyway, less about camper vans and shit. Let's talk about that performance. So I actually think we played really well last night in terms of people available. I thought it was a good game to watch certainly for a neutral. I don't think it was quite end to end. It wasn't a very Farke-like performance, which in terms of what I mean by Farke-like is what we've grown to know with Farke, where we control the play, possession, and just try and find a build up. It was very end to end, and there were lots of half chances and lots of opportunities for both teams to get forward. Jay, I know you caught the majority of it, but you were sort of half under a car, half under a curb, and whatever else. But thoughts then? Just give me a bit of an overview.
Well, I had a ridiculous evening, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, just for the hell of it.
Great.
So basically, I was helping a friend with a car, and it ended up rolling off the trailer basically into a neighbour's car. It broke its towing eye off. It just came out. It didn't even unscrew. It just tore out, and I ended up chasing it down the street and trying to stop this thing as it bounced off their bumper. So I had a great time. That were all supposed to be done, and I was supposed to be watching then, and I couldn't then because of all that. So, but yeah, the bits that I did catch, it looked like we mostly looked in control to me, but it seemed like for everything that we were doing good, we were quite wide open on the break still. We ended up
which hasn't become very accustomed this season. Certainly, I know the first couple of games we conceded 6, but since then we've only conceded 1.
Yeah, no, I know that. We generally do okay, but we do look susceptible at times. But last night obviously didn't go that way. But we did. So that said, we did keep them to 1, and it was just a penalty. In all fairness, but we did look open at times. That's the thing. We coped with that quite well. We had our chances. We nearly equalised quite quickly after with Gnonto, which I think would have changed the game had that happened. I think if we'd gone in level at half-time, we would have walked away with that in the second half. But as it was, we scored sort of late on. And in the last part of the game, it felt a bit like we did give up control of it. We seemed to be on the ropes a little for the last sort of 5-10 minutes maybe. They were getting sort of corner after corner. And then Melier did one of his bloody clearances to the other team when we could have had a break.
Yeah, we'll come on to that the last part of the game after the substitutions in a while, but yeah, I mean, I completely agree. They didn't have much going on, did they? Other than the penalty, which looks like it was a Stonewall penalty. I don't feel like it was a bad performance, and especially when we take into account the players we didn't have available last night. We had, Solomon, Dan James, Ampadu, Schmitz, one or two others I can't think of. I think that maybe that's it. Voba, who doesn't really, we don't really miss. We've not seen him.
I don't even think of him now.
No, but yeah, we are struggling in terms of players, and I think to go down there, and they haven't lost at Norwich in the league, in a competitive game since Bonfire Night last year. I think Blackburn beat them last year and Gruev lost. Cheers, Steve. We lost Gruev after 20 minutes. So yeah, they haven't lost a competitive game at Carrow Road for the best part of a year. So 11 months nearly. So
they've
to go down there,
a run like what we had.
Yeah, and we before the game, what were your thoughts? Would you have taken a draw? Do you think, or did we expect more? I
think I expected a little more, but I'm not unhappy with a draw as long as we get something better against Sunderland.
Yeah.
If we win that game, then this looks like a good result and a good little run for us. If we don't win that game, it it's a bit more iffy. But it's still not the end of the world. It's still not terrible.
No.
If we're getting points when we've got half the team missing, then we're doing something right.
If you can pick up, if you can go to West Brom, Sunderland, and Norwich, who will all be there or thereabouts in the top 6, I would imagine, this year, and
They'll
not lose away from home. I think it's a good platform in it for us to certainly build off. Been beaten once all season. I think Friday is very, very important. It's such a short turnaround with all these injuries, long distance to travel from Norwich up there as well. It's not ideal. But we'll come on to that all that in a bit. So first half went in 1-0 down. Arguably, I don't think we should have been 1-0 down. I think we had the better of the play, the chances. They took a penalty. They scored the penalty. The first half was a good game to watch. Then obviously second half, we lost Gruev as well. We lost Gruev in that first half. I think we almost lost somebody else, but did he get back up? Oh no, it was Gruev who got back up, weren't it?
I can't remember, mate.
Yeah, he went down.
I actually missed when he got injured. That one of the bits that I wasn't watching. So when I came back to it, we had Rothwell and Tanaka in there, and I was like, I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah.
Rothwell did okay. When he had that shot as well, I thought, heart were in my mouth for a second, but he did it straight at the bloody keeper. Yeah,
there was a couple. I mean, there was a couple of chances where if it's gone either side or if it's taken a deflection, and on another night we could have left there with 3 points, and their fans knew it as well. They were quite rowdy when they were 1-0 up, as any club is, and then as soon as we got the equaliser, or even before that, they didn't really want to know. It was your typical tin pot club, shall we say, atmosphere.
You could hear our fans on TV
with a drum and all that bollocks, and
Jesus, Gilly's favourite.
Yeah, did you have? Was there any particular players that you felt, not including anybody who came on, just sort of up until the changes? So when obviously Ramazani scored, you've probably heard Daniel Farker say in his interview today that actually the plan was to take Ramazani off at 60 minutes, but because he scored, he said, right, we'll give him a few more. But anybody else other than the goal scorer, we quite surprised with, or felt we should have tipped the proverbial hat too?
Well, I thought Gnonto was great. I thought he was really lively. He's looked on it the last few games. He's looked like the main man. He's been sort of here, there, and everywhere. And I remember last weekend at home, and he was like moving around the front three. He was like at 10. He was at left wing. He was at right wing. And then I don't know if he did that as much last night, but he was on it. He nearly scored the equaliser. He seems to be the one guy who's willing to take shots at the moment from a bit of distance. He's not just trying to walk it in all the time, but then he comes up and he plays that little through ball for Ramazani, and he shows you he can do all of it. He can do all of it in attack. When he's on it, he's such a good player.
Do you know what? I think we are. This is going to sound a little backward because I think we were really good last season, but I think we look almost a better team, a more rounded team without Somerville and Rutter.
More balanced.
Now that might sound absolutely berserk to a lot of people, but the reason I say that is players are playing their positions. That we're not getting. Aronson's not trying to do step overs in his own box, and look, as great as it looked when it came off and he made the opposition look absolutely stupid, the 8 times out of 10 that it didn't come off, it put us under a lot of pressure. Same with Somerville. I think we became too reliant on him.
Big time.
And Gnonto didn't get a lot of the ball because it was just going to Somerville last season, so we didn't actually probably appreciate how and what Gnonto could have done for us on the opposite side, or had they swapped wings, and Farker didn't start doing that up until very late on in the season. I think
you can't get a guy out of the team, can you, that's posting 20 goals and a ton of assists. You don't move that guy. You don't mess around with him. So
no, absolutely.
It's shit for Gnonto if he wants to play there, but you can't blame the manager for not doing it.
But I almost think that we will see the best of Gnonto, which and certainly Ramazani looks a player, which would almost suggest that these players could be replaced. And from what I've seen, albeit it's very early doors, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but of course I'm going to get ahead of myself. Fucking hell. He's the best player.
Come on, it's you, mate. You love this shit.
perfect. We couldn't have picked a more perfect replacement for Somerville for me in Ramazani. He just looks. He does everything Somerville can do, but defends. And look, he doesn't last as long. He hasn't got 90 minutes in him yet. But that's simply because I think he works a lot harder defensively and in attack, which is a real positive.
Didn't he show he can hold the ball up as well in last game?
Yeah.
Because he brought that one down, didn't he? Held it up, and he's got a really good all-round game to him so far. It's early doors to say he's going to replace Somerville, but he's certainly started the right way. And if we can spread goals a bit more around the team, there's no reason we can't score as many, if not more than last season, between us.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be imperative this season that the goals are shared out because we're not going to be.
You've got a guy like that.
We haven't. Yeah, and I think it looks like the early signs are positive now. Goals being shared out takes me on to our striker, and obviously Mateo Joseph has been gifted this plethora of trust this season, which many were asking for last season when Paddy was starting, because he was such a better player. However, we've only got the one goal out of him in the league this season, 3 assists, and for me, he's doing everything we need him to be doing in this sort of side. But because he's not scoring goals, question marks are naturally going to be asked because he's the number 9 and he's got one goal. And what's your thoughts on that, and where do you stand based on certainly on last night's performance alone?
I think I agree with you when you say like he's doing everything that he needs to do in this team. It would be nice to see more goals, and there's going to come a point where he's going to have to. But as it stands right now, I really like his overall game. I like the link-up play that he does. He does things in that regard that the other guys we've got that play up front can't do. His link-up play is great. The way that he carries the ball, wins the ball, his movement, his passing's decent, and I just think he's really solid. I think he does everything that Bamford can do, but he's got more in the locker than that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about. And I know people are saying we're putting him under a lot of pressure. To play for Leeds United is a lot of pressure anyway. So that the added pressure of being Leeds United number 9, and anyway, sorry, I've just seen Mark. Sorry, Mark. I'll pick that up in a second, Mark. I will share it. Don't worry.
I thought you were having like a breakdown or something there, mate.
No. He just sent me a message on Twitter. It's around Lagi and Ramazani and everything, but we'll come on to that in a sec. I will come on to that. Don't forget to remind me, Jay. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Mateo Joseph himself, I don't have any qualms with what he's doing at the moment. The goals will come. Continues working hard. I've seen somebody say that he can't hold the ball up and he's poor at holding the ball up and this and that, and it's a load of bollocks because he's created 2 or 3 goals that from simply from being strong and holding the ball up.
Yeah, and he seems to know when to go for a shot and when to give someone else an assist instead. Yeah. He's not completely selfish, but if he does get an eye for goal, he'll have a go.
That's right. This is a problem for me. This is a problem for me, Debs, because as fans, we are very, very fickle and we have very short-term memories. You look how good we were when Paddy came into the team in January last year for that period, and people still have the audacity to slate Patrick Bamford. And I still think, look, is it the best? Is it his peak of his career? Absolutely not. But he still has. Would you agree? He's still. I mean, first of all, we'll address this point. Don't give him shit. I don't see the point in what do people get out of actually grilling a 20-year-old, 19-year-old lad who's living his dream and trying his hardest for your club, but also Bamford shouldn't. For me, look, Bamford's made his mistakes. He's made his mistakes. The Stoke penalty, had he scored that, he'd have been a hero. There was one the chance at Leicester, the chance at Newcastle that I can remember off the top of my head. 3 or 4 things that stick in my memory for the wrong reasons. But there's also lots of good about Paddy Bamford. You know what I mean? The goals against Villa, the freak goal at Peterborough as well. So yeah, man, I don't really ever get this, but yeah, the realism is for me, Jay, that people will start getting on Joseph's back, saying he's not good enough and he's not the right player. Why are we relying on this young kid?
They will do, because football fans are fickle. Like, you'll cry out for something because that's, it's been said before. Whatever the manager's not doing is what the fans think he needs to be doing, and it's same with the players. And you've got this guy in there that everyone wants. A few games with no goals, you start to get rumblings. People start to get a bit, and then they start thinking, "Oh, rose-tinted specs are on." A bit like you sounded then, to be fair, as Paddy Bamford's biggest fan. It's like,
I'm not. Do you know
Bamford
what I mean?
did
I
all
was
this
the
for
first
us.
to slate him when he
so
took that
bad.
ball for the penalty.
Maybe he should get back in. For me, no.
Well, let's
I
talk about
appreciate-
that.
Well,
Let's
hang
talk
on.
about that last night from when Paddy came on.
Okay, go on.
I actually thought he offered something different, and we the ball came over to him a few times, and a little bit. If he was
different, all right.
If it was a little bit more sharper, match fit, and everything, there's a time when he would have probably created or at least scored one or two last night, because he was making all the right moves and all the right runs off the ball. And I know you don't get a great view from the television, which you don't. It's as simple as that. But some of the things, some of the movement he was doing and the gaps he was creating against a very, very tired Norwich side were a lot better than what people were giving him credit for, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dispute that he's done good things for us. He's been a good player for us. But for me, the last 2+ seasons, he's just not been there. And there's been times he's been played just because there hasn't been anyone else. The problem's been that no one has sort of stepped in and really done any better. Like, even Peru, when he's been starting and playing up front, hasn't done any better. So in that sense, it's maybe harsh to dig him out so much. But on the other hand, a guy that's meant to have, he's got an England cap, he's got his credentials, he's scored all his goals in Premier League. He's just not done it for us since the Premier League. And I just don't really want to see him play unless we've got no choice. I don't dismiss what he has done for us, but he's not the answer now for me. I get you feel differently because you like his experience and what he does. Do you
agree though that he offers a different outlet for us in terms of like simply from what I noticed last night when him and Peru? Look, we'll come on to we'll talk about the substitutions specifically in a bit. But when Bamford came on, there was a lot more space in behind and a lot more space at the up front. But maybe that was because we had two strikers on the pitch at the same time. But it felt like there was a lot of gaps and spaces beginning to open up in their defense. But that could be down to tired legs.
It could be. We're never going to really know, are we? It's like when you watch a game, it's like, were we good or were they bad sometimes? But he does do something different. He does. I'll give you that. But for me, there's just not enough good in there for me anymore. He just seems like a guy going through the motions now, who used to be good, but hasn't quite got it anymore. I think he wants to. He's good. I think his mind still is there, wants to do it all, but I don't think his legs will let him.
No, I don't disagree in his legs. I think he's certainly on the back end of his career. Some unfortunate injuries, and I'm not saying he's the Lordeth and cometh Saviour or anything like that, or he's going to be banging us 15, 20 goals. I don't think he's going to be doing that. But what I don't agree with is the it's lazy slander of him because of those misses that and that attitude that he's had throughout his career at Leeds, and I feel people remember him for the wrong reasons when actually he's been quite good for us other than in more recent history. So
I think the frustrating thing with him, Luke, is that we've seen he can do good stuff.
Yeah,
like that bloody cup goal he scored. Who scores a goal like that?
Yeah,
but then he'll screw up simple stuff, or he'll not be able to play it in time and lose possession, or he'll shoot at the keeper, or he'll go wide, and it's just so frustrating. And it wouldn't be that frustrating if we'd not seen him do good things before. That makes it harder for me to take that he now can't.
Yeah. I think you're right. And look, the expectation is as a team that should be or is pushing for promotion is that you've got better quality of players and somebody who can do those things. But look, as I said last night, he did find some space. He did pull defenders around and did everything that was expected of him, other than control the ball over the top when he could have had a shot and the other, a couple of lazy passes and things. But look, that's certainly down to match fitness. I would put it, because we have seen how good he can be. Right, very quickly before we move on to the next part, Roland Buttonubs has sent a picture of what he believes to be my caravan, so I'll share that with you. That is not my caravan.
What's the W for, Roland?
I
can think of a few things.
Yeah, I'm sure we could. But the other thing that Steve Brown popped in? No,
it was Mark Wright, was it?
Yeah, Mark Wright was, yeah. A Twitter user put, it seems that Farke wasn't impressed with Lagi, who appears to have been signed at the club's insistence. I'm glad the club pushed for this deal to happen. So somebody's read between the lines from today's presser that Lagi wasn't due to be signed, and the club have gone in behind Farke. However, somebody has replied. I didn't notice this, I have to admit. But somebody else replied, this is complete nonsense. He didn't say anything about what you've written at all. And they say that a work on his physicality, trying to improve him, and didn't have a full pre-season. So that's why he's managing his minutes. But he's impressed with his goals. Okay. So who's right there then? We just don't know. But I wouldn't imagine the club would have gone in over Farke's head. That would be very Victor Orta, wouldn't it?
But that was the story that were apparently going around about Tanaka, wasn't it, originally? That Farke didn't want him, the club wanted him.
Farke wanted Tanaka since he was in Germany.
I know. So that's now died out. And people have now moved on to Largy instead. It's like people just like stirring shit and causing trouble, and it baffles me because you meant to want to see the club do well. You meant to love your club and want the best.
Oh, Debs is agreeing with what I'm saying. That's a first. That is a first. If anyone knows Debs, actually, we get on quite well.
It seems to have started an argument in comments. So.
Has it? Yeah, no argument. We're all friends here. It's a bloody Wednesday night. You know what I mean? Don't be slapping each other. And
don't make me get more vodka.
Right then, let's move on. Midfield. So we obviously Gruev went off relatively early, which paved the way. Obviously, Tanaka got his first start, which was to be expected, and then obviously we had to bring Joe Rothwell on as well. Thoughts on the two of those, Jay?
Rothwell, I thought, did really well. He moved about well. He got into good areas. He got that chance where he had that shot that I mentioned earlier, which was, again, him being in the right place at the right time, being switched on. I don't think he's someone who's going to set the world alight for us, but I think we're going to need to get used to seeing him for the time being. So the better he plays, the better for all of us. He's still with me.
Sorry, mate. I'm having a conversation with two kids. So, one's asking me where her earrings are, or the easel sees up, and the other one's trying to. Anyway,
chaos, mate. Chaos.
Yeah, it has been. Honestly, it's been such a busy day. Like, I've not stopped today, and it's just fucking like, when does it stop? And then this is like the highlight of my day, which tells you pretty much about how my day's been. Spending an hour with Jay.
Must have been a shit day, mate.
Jay in a kitchen without an iron behind him. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I thought both midfielders were very, very good. I thought Gruev looked good before he went off, which unfortunate to pick up an injury. But it doesn't look great, by the way, by the sounds of things. It sounds like his knee, which would be two central or preferred midfielders. Our two central midfielders. Go on.
Where do we go from here? We're gonna have to start Tanaka or Rothwell till one of them inevitably gets injured or suspended, and then once that's if that happens, we're really we're struggling a bit. We're gonna have to decide at that point if we end up with one of those guys injured, does Strike then get pulled back into midfield like when he first came to Leeds, and does De Bayo then get put into centre back, or do we end up with Charlie Crew playing?
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad. That's not a bad option, but I honestly thought Rothwell carried the ball really well. He's certainly got a decent strike on him, and not afraid to have a pop at goal. Tanaka looked every bit of class. I think there was only one thing I could fault. I think there was only one thing I faulted, and that was towards the end. There was a through ball on for Willie towards the end of the game. I think it was before Willie got sub, and all it had to be was a half decent pass, and he just overcooked it.
I remember that. I think I shouted no at the TV.
Yeah. And that a bit other than that, I mean, if you can remember one fault out of a 90-minute performance, then look, he's probably not much fit, and he still did the full 90, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Somebody did somebody ask Farker about if there's a language barrier trying to get tactics and stuff across to Naka. I think it might have been Popey that asked him in the previous game's press conference. I think he said something about is his German better than his English or something like that. But they seem to be getting through to him because he seems to know what he's doing. He's stepped up. He's stepped straight in and looks every bit what we were hoping he was going to be for me.
Yeah, no, me too. Let's move on. Defence looks relatively good, I think, other than the brain fart from Rodon. Pascal looked really good last night. He had the assist as well for the goal.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it wasn't his assist actually. He played it into Willie, who then played it on to
Willie played the through ball.
The ball into Willie was inch perfect. Firpo and Bogle, I thought, looked quite good as well again last night. Both fullbacks.
I saw someone in the comments moaning about Firpo, saying he was lazy or something last night.
Really?
It was quite early on, I think. But no, I thought they did all right, and I think Bogle's been growing into his place in the team for me. He's started to look better and better. He looked a bit like, oh shit, what have we signed here in the first couple of games, didn't he? And it looked like we were going to have that fullback curse again.
Ago, didn't it?
Yeah. Return of the fullback curse. But he's settling in for me now. He's starting to look more and more the part.
Firpo did not track back, Ian Ward said. I don't remember any. I don't remember that. I mean, every time their right winger was down there, Firpo was on him from memory. I don't remember. Don't remember him not tracking back, or if I did, do you know what I mean? It might have been once or twice, but I don't remember it being a regular occurrence last night. I thought they were both very, very good last night. Not very, very good actually. They were both steady enough and good against some tricky wingers. That number 7 of theirs, man, when he chopped Firpo down and didn't get a booking, and then 2 seconds later Rothwell did the same in the centre circle and got booked. I could not believe my eyes, honestly.
Yeah.
The referee, I mean, I don't like blaming officials. But that was fucking awful.
We're saying this every week now, Luke. The standard's so bad. I used to think, refs are biased against Leeds, the haters, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm just convinced they're all shit.
Do you think they're all that poor, though? These people are professionals that get paid a salary enough to not have to go into an office or to... Yes, Joe, you did warn us about how bad it was.
It was Steve Martin, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Jew said, didn't he? It looks like he's been lifting.
Yeah. Hench ref.
Great minds, good timing for your comment there, Emilio. Around the worst man on the pitch was the ref, closely followed by the
appropriately named, since it were a comedy performance from him.
Yeah, it was pretty shit, to be honest, in a word. But yeah, it was, and it's Big Lou said to me, he looked over and said, "This is happening every week now. Not only are we having to beat 11 men in front of us, we're having to beat the referee week in, week out as well, and it's becoming beyond a joke." Let's talk about the big decision then. So the 2 penalty shouts, they got one given, which was a blatant penalty. I haven't seen Gnonto's penalty shout back, but in real time. I thought it was a penalty, and the general consensus seemed to be, when I had a look online, and that was that it was a penalty, but it was a probably less obvious one than theirs. I don't know. What were your thoughts on that?
I think by the laws of the game, it should have been, but probably maybe a bit soft. But as I say, by the laws, it should be. We just don't get them, do we?
We don't.
We don't get anything. We don't get anything like that. Big decisions. It's just, and like Lou was saying to you, it starts to grate on you because you just want to enjoy the game, and you don't mind losing the game if you're not up to it and the other team's better. But when you're being stifled by a ref that's breaking up all your play and stopping your progress and stopping you from breaking, and it's just drives you up the wall, man. It's like torture. It's like some kind of shit Chinese torture, having stuff stuck under your fingernails. That'd be preferable to some of these refs reffing our games.
Yeah, it would. And Joe's also gone on to say that the ref on Friday isn't much better. So that's this week we're having the three worst. This week, Joe says we've had the 3 worst refs going, and that Fridays is awful too.
Which one is it, Joe? Which ref have we got?
She has done Ref Watch. Do you not follow her Ref Watch?
I do, but I forget everything, don't, because I'm useless.
Well, yeah. It is. I can't remember. I was just trying to look there, but I can't do it quick enough.
Tim Robinson.
Yeah,
sounds like
she'll probably be able to do it quicker.
Isn't that bloke off Time Team? That's Tony Robinson, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
If he looks a bit like him, that'll be funny at least.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about the subject then. The substitutions, because I've got a bit of there's been some different of opinions already in the comments I've seen, but certainly online, I think that the majority seem to think that the changes completely nullified and gave them something to go at. Is that where your head lies, Jay? Do you think the substitutions probably changed that game and altered a little bit of the momentum in their favour?
I do, yeah. I think that's completely right. As I was saying before, like the sort of last part of that game, we looked like we were on the ropes a bit, like they were just attacking a lot, getting lots of corners. We screwed up our own sort of opportunities to break. Melier did one of his famous kicks out when we had a break on. You mentioned the through ball that wanted playing through for Willie, and he would have been away, and we failed to do that. But the majority of it just seemed to be us defending for that last part, and people are moaning about it. But on the other hand, what do they want the manager to do when we've got another game on Friday against Sunderland? And you've got to look at these things, from kind of outside perspective sometimes, and just look at it and say, well, we should come out of this with at least a point here. It's not a bad point in the grand scheme of things against a team that don't get beat at home anymore, and you get to save a few minutes and a few legs so they can start the game on Friday. It's a balancing act, isn't it? That's what the manager's there to do. He's got to make that decision.
He's also damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Because had he not made any
100%.
subs, if he'd not made any subs and we still got the same result, it'd be, why the fuck didn't you make some subs? Do you know?
Well, example for you, Luke. Rodrigo getting injured when he got brought on for
What great timing! What great timing! I tell you what, I'm on levels with some of
great minds. But it's like the Rodrigo thing when he got brought on and got injured. If one of those players had been left on and got injured, everyone would be going mad saying, "Why don't you bring him off? Why don't you bring him off? You knew we had another game." But then when he does bring him off and we lose momentum, which we obviously will because we didn't have a strong bench, we're missing people that could change the game. We just had to put people on to replace those bodies. It's going to happen. But people then complain about that too. So you are damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Absolutely.
You've got to make a decision, and someone's going to be unhappy with it.
Let's just roll some of these comments because there's some of these that I actually do agree with. For
a change.
Yeah, let's fly. So Tanaka is a baller, Headley. Absolutely. Yeah, he looks like worth every bit of that 2.5 million or whatever it is, 3 million, whatever we paid for him. Absolute bargain bucket. Roland, hello again, mate, all the way from Albuquerque, New Mexico, I think. Somewhere down in New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
Not Albuquerque.
No, it is. I remember him saying.
Is it Albuquerque? That's some memory there. Emily Lou says subs were needed as a few players were tiring, but it definitely took the sting out a little. But Norwich defence were massive and knackered. Fresh legs were the obvious option to take. See, I'd agree with that. And I think if we had some better options, less injuries, and
if Dan James could have come on, they'd have been screwed.
Absolutely. Then we'd have won that game. However, I'll tell you now, Ramazani and Gnonto were absolutely out on their feet. They'd done a lot of work last night. They're making the runs in behind. They were out on their feet. They weren't getting back in a defensive position. They were just leaving their man to the fullback.
It was like 5-a-side when you like get to
yeah.
end the game and half the lads are still studying
It
at the
was,
team's goal.
and it was quite obvious being in the stadium because you can see every player and who's not working hard. Whereas it's very easy, and I'm guilty of this on the telly when you're seeing a perspective that the telly wants to show you. You don't see all this. You don't see everything, and you can't keep an eye on particular players. So the changes were needed, and for two reasons. First of all, the players that were brought off were fucked, and then secondly,
he had to change.
Three reasons. Secondly, they were the only changes he could make, and we've also obviously got to rest a few players, give them a bit more recovery time. Chances of picking up an injury are much higher when you're tired.
Yeah,
and then third one is Joel Pirro scored in his last two games where he's come on as a sub.
Yeah,
so why wouldn't you have brought him as a sub?
That one is self-explanatory, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, so I completely get the changes, and I do understand them. But I can understand why people are miffed as well. I'm a bit pissed off, and it invited them onto us and all this. But
it were gonna do. It were gonna do
exactly.
With the nature of players available.
It could have been arguably much worse had we left those players on the pitch. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'll never know, and that's the beauty of opinions. We will never know it. It is our own opinion. Anyway, moving on. Willie and Tanaka were both great, Scooby says. Ramazani had a quiet game, I thought, but 2 goals in how many games? Yeah, look, again, opinions. I thought Ramazani looked very, very good last night. Very good.
Yeah,
I thought Willie and Tanaka both
Willie
were good
race,
as well. Yeah, man of the match by a long way.
Oh, God, yeah.
Emilu, Willie and Tanaka stood out the game. Bamford pulled the defence around when he came on too. That's pretty much what I said. Aronson's play on the ball worked well at the weekend, but he got caught a few times last night. That's something we've not mentioned, actually. Aronson doing the good stuff well in it, but again, I think Emmy's right there in that he just tried a little bit too much a couple of times last night and did get caught very, very Rutter-esque in some dangerous positions.
I've noticed.
He tried clearing a ball by flicking his butt up in the air and just get your foot through it or get an head on it or anything. Don't just try flicking your heel at it and hoping that you're going to connect. But I think we're slowly coaching that out of him, Jay, if I'm honest with you. I think from what we've seen from the other games this season, we haven't seen a lot of that, whereas it was probably tired, and errors start to creep in then. I don't know.
Everybody they were all dead. I mean,
thoughts on Aronson in particular, any?
No, I'm just saying they were all a bit dead, weren't they? But Aronson, he's putting in the effort. He's doing, like you say, he's doing a lot of stuff well. There's a lot of stuff he does where he tries to do little fancy bits that almost come off but don't. And he either needs to get to the level of sharpness that he can do this stuff, or he needs to not try it. But we can't have him keep giving it away and stuff. But he does. He's clearly got good ideas. Like if the stuff came off, it'd be great.
Yeah. Steve Brown did. I forgot about this actually. He came across, did Aronson, and made a great challenge in our own box
when the guy had come into the box from the right. Yeah.
We were tired. We were very, very tired. We looked very, very tired towards the end last night. So yeah, well remembered. A few more comments. We've just done that one. Sorry. Blaze Ray. Hopefully they rest Joseph, bring him back against the poor defence, get him a goal, and he will be off. Who do we start there then, Blaze Ray? Because I don't see anybody being as good as Joseph at the things that we need him to do right now.
No, I don't.
Look, the goals will come, and I don't personally think that pulling him out of that team is going to do his confidence a great deal.
But because of his age and his obvious ability, I'm not overly worried yet about the goals.
No, I'm not.
I feel like they're coming, and once he gets properly started, they'll flow.
What are we saying, Pirro?
There's an argument for it because he's been scoring, but I think he slows us down as a team and reduces our effectiveness.
The counter argument to that is Scooby said here, Pirro's scored twice when we've already been winning, forcing them to push and leave space to exploit.
True,
he's got a bit more space. Look, Pirro looks great anywhere around the box. Anywhere else on the field, he looks shit for me. And I'm not even joking. Like he looks like a clogger. Like competition. Yeah,
he looks like a clogger when he's doing anything other than attacking the area.
Give him the ball anywhere else on the field, he looks class. Anywhere else, anywhere in the final third, he looks like he knows what to do. Anywhere else on the pitch, I think he looks very, very average.
He does. His link-up play is poor. He's not the fastest. I just don't think he's got that in him. I think he just needs to be someone concentrating on trying to score goals. That's just his thing.
Michael's shouting for Bamford.
Wow,
Bamford, it's a bit early for that.
Big call.
Bit early for that.
If you start him, he'll be injured anyway for the next few weeks.
Yeah, a bit early for that. Anyway, moving on. We've just done that one. Sorry. Emilu said it's not just about resting our players. We pulled them all over and they were knackered. Fresh legs against that could have worked and could have given us the edge. It didn't work, but understand the intent. And I think that's where I am with it. I think that's where the sensible vote lies in it. You know, you can see why, but it's all right to be frustrated because it didn't work. When actually, who's to say that leaving them players on would have worked, or if one had picked up an injury? Could you imagine? Imagine today's press conference had Willie or Ramazani picked up an injury yesterday?
It'd just be like season over, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I know it's what about Ray, but look, ultimately you've got to take into account those. They've got the readings on the back. They know how tired and how many sprints and how knackered the players are. They've got a good idea of what level of fatigue their body's at and whether there's enough.
They can check the heart rate and everything, can't they?
They're not stupid, them things. Yeah. They know what they're doing, these guys, man.
It's different kettle of fish to Don Reeves' team, though, isn't it? Can you imagine saying, we're going to check your heart rate, lads, when they're all just been smoking at half-time and sinking a pint?
Joe Bedford said, people can't expect the play to continue as it was when you're bringing on players who have very little to no game time. Also, just talk about match sharpness and match fitness here. We didn't have like-for-like players either. It's not because they're crap. No, look, that's very fair.
Especially a player like Joffe. Barely had a look in.
Do you know what? He looked all right as well.
He does sometimes, though, doesn't he? And you think, maybe he's back on the upward path, a renaissance, and then he plays again and he's just does nothing.
All the data. White Snake Backs, thank you ever so much for joining us all the way from New Zealand, mate. And thank you, if you can thank your wife for that very lovely comment that she left us on the video the other day, saying that you've not taken that shirt off since you've got it. So yeah, you're very welcome. Oh, and there's another comment for you.
Might have to take it off now for a little wash, though.
Yeah, I would say the women in the chat are more switched on than some of the guys. I would never argue with that. Never. I didn't realize you were a feminist, though. I'm just joking. Right, let's move on. I just wanted to talk about one more thing. Now, it's quite apparent that we're looking very thin on the ground in terms of injuries. Now, before the season started, a lot of people were saying the squad was too thin and we haven't got enough players in this position and that position. I just want to quash a couple of rumours here. It's not very often when you have 5 central midfielders in your team that 2 of them get serious injuries. It's not very often when you've got 4 centre backs that 2 of them get injuries. It's not it's not very often that 2 wingers get serious injuries all at the same time. So I think we've been very unlucky with injuries.
Absolutely.
But do you think the squad, Jay, if we had a fully fit squad, is that squad big enough and is it strong enough?
If it's fully fit, you'd say yes, but when you're talking about squad strength, and they all point to squad strength, that you're not screwed when a couple of people get injuries.
But I mean, for me, and I think this is probably the majority of the certainly the championship level. In the Premier League, it's a bit of a different kettle of fish. You've got your Chelsea's who've got 5 players for every position and whatever else. But
yeah,
we have got 2 players for every position on that field. We have got 2 players that can play as a specialist. So as a specialist position, we have got 2 players in that first team squad that can play in every position. Now that's a first choice and a backup. Well, if you Owen and Aaron, what position don't we have a backup in?
Well, all I'm going to say is one of those options in defence would be Ampadu, which then removes him as an option for midfield.
Well, it wouldn't, would it? Because we've got Vober and De Bayo.
No, I'm the same time. Vober again. I forgot about him again. Forgot he existed.
But yeah, I get the sentiment. But Verber's injured, so
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's a rarity that you get so many injuries in so many positions. Now it's not ideal, and I can see people are saying "told you so" already. 6 games into a season, whatever we are. But Ian Ward's made a good point. You say that, Luke, but Solomon was signed after a long layoff. Pascal doesn't stay fit for a whole season.
And we know this.
But I mean, Willie Gnonto's had injuries. Do we just buy another Willie Gnonto?
Well, no, that's it, isn't it? You don't expect everybody to be injured at the same time, do you?
Number 9, we've got Paddy Bamford as backup. Jay Michaels.
We do, yeah.
As a natural number 9, and who's on a lot of money, who's good enough. But what's the point? I mean, what I'm saying is, how far do you go on? Do we buy 3 number 9s? And what happens if 3 get injured? You know what I mean? Where does it end?
How big can you make a squad?
It's almost
can't all be Chelsea.
No, and for me, I don't think the squad's unhealthy. I just think that we've been very, very unfortunate. All right, gone.
It's a balance, mate. Yeah. It's a balance.
Gnonto's a poor example. Let's go with Junior Firpo and Sam Byram. Yeah. So should we buy another left back because we've got both Byram and Firpo left backs this season? Do we go out and buy another just because those two are quite injury prone? Is that the type of thing you're trying to tell me? Do we just and then where does it end? What if that very rarely injured?
That's it. You can only go so far with squad strength.
Ampadu, yeah, I mean,
and if you have too many, then surely that then starts to compromise team spirit because the bigger the group, the more spread out everybody is. Third
or fourth choice centre back. How do you get yourself motivated for a game? It should be. We've got 2 for every position. 1 extra in centre midfield in Charlie Cruz, plays for his country. Yes. And then I believe you start to rely on youth then. And that's where you blood a few of you. You should always have a few youth that are on the fringes that probably aren't quite good enough to be in the squad this season, but once called upon, probably could do a job for a game or 2. So for me, I don't get the uproar. I can understand why people have, but
you don't expect 2 centre midfielders injured.
Is that with Vober and with De Bayo and with Ampadu who can play there and with Stroik and Rodon? So that's 5 people who can play centre back comfortably. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. There's cover everywhere. It's just we've been unlucky, haven't we? Just the way it's all fallen.
Yeah, I think this is probably more.
You can't account for a crisis.
Vober has cost us a starting centre back, or somebody a good centre back because we didn't manage to get rid of him. He wanted to go. We wanted rid of him. You know that would have created a bit of money for. And a squad place, I suppose, as well for somebody who can play in centre back. I think that's probably a little bit more accurate. The fact that we've already lost Vober without seeing him is probably playing a little bit devil in disguise in it. Do you know what I mean? You forgot about him twice tonight when we've been conversing, so it just goes.
And he won't be on a small wage.
Yeah. Scooby, are you stoned, mate? This is all the verge of being deeply philosophical. How much is enough? How soon is now? Not with all these windows got cleaned. What is in the pie? Chicken? Egg?
It's probably time to wrap up soon on that note, mate.
Yeah. Any other business? I think we've probably done it today. In a nutshell, good point away from home against a team that haven't lost there for best part of a year with a shape. What do you call it? A ship-shaped squad.
And a shoestring squad.
Shoestring? No, I wouldn't say shoestring. Just like a
ship shape. I mean, it's all good. It's all in order.
Not ship shape. Just like a
shipwrecked, more like HMS Pistol League on bottom at sea.
Yeah. If I ask you this question now, Jay, I'm not going to hold you to it. Do we get automatically promoted this season?
Yes.
Do we win the league?
I'm not 100% convinced we win the league, but I do think we go up top 2.
Based on what you've seen this season already?
I think so. And if you'd asked me that when the transfer window closed, I'd have probably said no chance playoffs. But even games we've lost, we've done well in, for me.
We've only lost 1 in the league.
Well, yeah.
And we should have won that.
That's what I mean. So I'm we could have got a few more points than we've got, but I've not seen anything that's worried me yet. So
no, I'm panicking. No. I'm not panicking. I think I'm a little bit more concerned. I was more concerned about Ampadu being out than potentially Gruev. However, the fact that they're both out does concern me a little bit because Tanaka and Rothwell are a little bit more advanced in games where we might need to play slightly a little bit more defensively. We lose that little bit of composure when we're saying that. I think Tanaka could probably do either the 8 or the Ampadu role. Ampadu Gruev. He looks
I think he could.
Very, very competent at either, doesn't he?
I want to see him as the 8 though.
Oh, Ian Ward.
needs
Honestly, this is getting philosophical. The only team that beats us is ourselves in reality.
It's upset me.
You only beat yourselves. Yeah, no, I like it. I do, and it rings true to me. So, yeah,
it should be in a fortune cookie, that Ian.
Scooby, no news. I think he was having his scan this evening, so we might find out something over the next day or two about as to.
I'm sure Joe will have all that in the morning.
I think it doesn't look good. Was the noise that came from today's?
Well, listen, Luke. We were told Ampadu's didn't seem that bad, so maybe it's other way around. These don't look that good, but it'll be fine.
Well, Ampadu's 10 weeks without surgery, LCL, which is not as bad as an ACL. So I mean, it's still not ideal, but we are what we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
We will be back actually tomorrow night. We've got the main pod with all your shit takes of the week and everything. Obviously, the days have moved ever so slightly. We're having a midweek fixture this week. We'll have a preview on Sunderland for Friday. They'll probably talk a little bit about the game last night as well with the people who know what they're talking about, because Jay and I absolutely have no idea.
No arguments from me.
I'm going to go admire my camper van that's not here yet. And just make sure it's not too red. Jay, what are you doing with the rest of your evening?
I'm going to go be philosophical, mate.
That basically means he's going to get stoned. I'm just kidding. Don't listen to Jay, kids. Do not do what Jay does, because he's a bad man. Yeah, see you all tomorrow. Please do like and subscribe. Yeah, we are available if you want to drop us a message on. That's another thing I want to say. We have now got a Shit Take of the Week account on Twitter. So any of your shit takes that you come across, anything that you come across on Twitter, I think it's at Shit Take of Week. It's followed by the pod anyway. It's only got about 5 followers at the minute, but get that followed and commenters. Just drop us as many shit takes as you can, and we'll try and get as many read out on the show tomorrow night. But yeah, that's it from me. On to Friday. I'm going to give my prediction now, because I'm not on tomorrow, for Friday night. Okay. And I'm going to go 2-2. Desmond.
Okay. I'm going to save mine for tomorrow and read the room.
You're on tomorrow with them, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I actually know I'm on this time, so
you actually might be in your own kitchen with the iron behind you.
I'll have the iron this time, yeah.
I don't know how I managed to do 57 minutes of that, Jay, but thank you all for bearing with us and joining in. Yeah, we'll see some of you back tomorrow. And yeah, as ever, thank you ever so much. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.